Hello, hello. Can you hear me? Very good. So again, sort of roll up for the attention stage. Again, there's people milling around there. If you want to come and get some hot piping attention insight, come and join us. Very good to see everyone again. My name is Mike Follett. I'm the CEO of Lumen, the attention technology company, and we're delighted to see everyone. Who is here for the morning? So some people who have just come. Have you seen anything else? Have you been to any other stages? Just the attention. So that's real loyalty. That is. That's amazing. And who was here yesterday? Yeah. So this is. So that means that some of you there. It's the first bit of the attention stage. You're very, very welcome. We'll have more people joining us in a second. What we're talking about on the attention stage this year is not just about visual attention to digital advertising, which is what people have been, but we've been expanding the breadth of the discussion to new senses. We've had lots of people talk about sound and touch and taste, but also to new media as well. So not just talking about digital media, but also talking about more traditional media or DM. We had people from the Direct Marketing Association talking about mail drops and things like that. And right now we have a totally new application of attention data, which is to point-of-sale materials. So we'll start talking about supermarkets and ads in supermarkets, and then throughout the rest of the afternoon there'll be other interesting applications, I think, for you to talk about. So this is really sort of extending and expanding our understanding about attention. So to that end, I'd like to invite Kenyatte Nelson, the Chief Marketing Officer for a co-op supermarket, on stage. Kenyatte, always the best-dressed man at MadFest. Guys, nice to see you, Kenyatte. Do you want to quickly introduce yourself?
Sure. I don't know. Is the microphone? Yeah, it's on. It's on now.
Yeah.
Hello, my name is Kenyatte Nelson. I have the privilege and pleasure of being the Chief Membership and Customer Officer for the Co-op Group. Been with the business now for 2 years, but one of the things I and the team are responsible for is the Co-op Media Network, which we relaunched about a year and a half ago. And so thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
So that's what we'll be talking about. So Lumen has done quite a large project about retail media. So I thought what I might try and do is just spend 5 or 6 minutes talking about our retail media project,
yep.
And then Kenyatte and I can sort of talk about the implications of that, and then
Sure.
and then we'll be done. So just to remind everyone, you have an app on your phone. There'll be some chance to ask some questions after. If you have any questions, please do ask. And then what I can do is I can read them out from this. So I'll just I will just get that ready for us now. Okay, this is slightly disorganized, I admit. Largely because, right, what day are we? We've got the wrong day. This is yesterday's stuff. Right, we will. Let's get going. Okay, so just talking briefly then about what we've done. Retail media has a number of challenges that we started thinking about really last year. The first is that retail media has a comparison problem. One of the problems with retail media is that it is siphoned off within the trade marketing budget. When Unilever or P&G come to talk about things, they talk to the trade team and they go, well, if you give us a 15% discount or a volume deal on this, then we will give you some trade media. And it's a very small sort of pool there. But retail media isn't just about this small environment. It's actually part of a much larger a market, which is the media market in general. And by going on about the retail bit of retail media, we sometimes forget the media bit of retail media. And the media market is much, much larger. And talking to media planners, they'd always say it was in this tiny sort of little penned-off area. And comparison was a big problem. The second problem that we found was a convenience problem. Most of the people who make decisions about retail media are, weirdly enough, 26-year-old media planners. They are tremendously influential Gen Z people. And these people have limited cognitive resources and time, and they use agency planning tools to help them make their decisions. And we realized there was a second problem, is that we could produce lots and lots of data to say that ads within Co-op are particularly effective or a very good deal or whatever. But if that was in PowerPoint, people would go, hey, that's amazing, that's really, really good. But the next day, they would go back to their planning tools and forget everything that we told them about. In an odd sort of way, point-of-sale media had a point-of-sale problem. It wasn't on the shore stealth. And as a good retailer, you know that facings are really, really important. And so if you're not in the planner, then you're probably not on the plan. And then there was a third sort of problem here, that Co-op could do all of this work to try and understand the attention that in-store media was generating, and that try and make sure that it was directly comparable with all the other media. But if Co-op did that for the industry, then the whole industry would benefit. What's the advantage? What makes Co-op special there to make sure that if we were going to try and normalize retail media, if we were going to try and make it convenient, how can we make sure that Co-op benefits from that? And of course, Co-op is an interesting supermarket because its footprint has far more small stores than the likes of Tesco and Sainsbury's and things like that. Now, these small stores have particular advantages. And what we wanted to make sure is that, as well as understand what is the small store advantage? How can we bring that to life for people? So we decided to do the world's largest single eye tracking test for supermarket media. And we did it, I think, in a very clever way, because we got people to wear these eye tracking glasses, and we'll see how that works in a second. But we did the research, half of the research in normal small stores that Co-op has, but Co-op also has some big stores. Not many, but quite a lot, that are comparable with lots of other big stores. So by like Sainsbury's and Tesco and many other great brands, but we were allowed we sort of did a sort of an A/B test, not comparing Co-op to its direct competitors, but within the network, big stores and small stores, which is comparable to Co-op. And so this clever A/B test allowed us to collect all the attention data, but also allowed us to isolate what made Co-op really, really special. So we got, many of you will have seen eye tracking stuff before, but here's the results from the eye tracking glasses. You can see people do look at these things, but as ever you will see, in-store media is, as we'll see in a second, very effective. But it is quite a fleeting a glance at things, much in the same way that Facebook is often a fleeting glance, or posters are a fleeting glance, or sometimes even TV is a fleeting glance. We'll see some of the data for point-of-sale materials, but it's the comparison with other things that we will have to. And from this data, we found that and I'll start with the sort of co-op advantage here, we found that on average, even though there's more POS in big stores, there's more gaps between the POS and big stores. In actual fact, astonishingly, you are more likely to be exposed to POS in a small store than you are in a big store. Because as people walk past it, there are far more opportunities to see. That's the first thing. The second thing is that the amount of time you spend looking at the POS is greater in a small store than a big store. On average, people look at POS for about half a second on average, that's entirely commensurate with previous studies we've done for other retailers. This is normal. What's not normal is the more than double the attention. It's only a second. It's not massive, but it's still more than double the attention because of the same POS in smaller stores. And that means that if you were to try and work out the attentive seconds per 1,000 impressions, in a large supermarket, 1,000 impressions would generate around about, on average, 74 seconds of attention, which really is quite a small amount of attention. In smaller stores in co-op, you're getting many times more than that, 335 seconds of attention, which again is not a vast amount, but it is significantly better than other POS opportunities.
Especially when you consider the amount of time spent in the store.
Exactly.
Yeah.
For an average shop might be 25 minutes for a big store, it's 5 minutes in a small store. So what we found is then that meant that recall for brands is about 3%. And again, that's what we find is quite normal there. But for small stores, it's significantly greater. The fact that these ads are in your face, literally, means that people notice them and they remember them. And then these recall numbers, we can start to compare them, the attention and the recall numbers, to everything else. So this study is quite an interesting one, just to tell you about the difference between large stores and small stores. But we go back to the challenges that we had, we can start to see that we'd be able to directly compare attention and recall for all media. And this is where we come back, and I'll finish here, about having collected all this wonderful data, we can see that it's answering the three big challenges to it. The first is, because we collected the data in exactly the same way as we've collected all our Facebook data and TV data and YouTube data, we could, for the first time, have a direct comparison of point-of-sale advertising versus everything else. An apples-for-apples comparison. Instead of siphoning off a POS and saying it's a different thing, it's totally incomparable. You go, no, we used exactly the same methodology, and we can compare POS to everything else. The second thing that we've done is, because we've got this common currency of attention, we can build this into agency planning tools. And thirdly, what we've been able to do is not only build the data into agency planning tools, but build the co-op advantage into those agency planning tools. Because instead of just producing a lovely PowerPoint slide that I hope that you all do, when you go back to your agencies and clients, when you go and talk to your agencies, you can now say, show me the POS attention data in your planning tools. And the first person who's done this is Dentsu. All of the rest of them are coming soon, but here is the Dentsu Reach planning tools, and you can see here the various different channels here, and we're now building reach curves for point-of-sale materials, so the 26-year-old planners can use that automatically. So it's actually embedded in the tools but it isn't just POS in general. What we've been able to do, you won't be able to see this, but you've got POS in small stores and POS in big stores. We've been able to represent the small store advantage that Co-op has inside the planning tool. So again, when planners are making their decisions, when they don't have Kenyatte on stage telling them what to do, when in the safety of their own offices or probably in their homes, and they access it, the research that we've done, the insight we've produced, is there at the point of decision, not just the point of sale but not just the understanding of POS in general. But we've managed to embed Co-op's advantage into the planning tools. And what's particularly interesting is that this is something that the agencies love. So rather than by making it available to them, we're helping them do their job. It happens to benefit the point-of-sale industry as a whole, and Co-op in particular. But Katie Hartley, who's going to be on stage with us in about an hour and a half, is on record saying that this is a tremendously useful thing for people. So this is a real win-win-win for everyone. By making POS media just normal,
yes,
we've reduced the barriers. Instead of trying to be special, we've tried to be normal.
yes.
By making sure that it's easy, it's inside the planning tools, we meant that you don't have to have people like me on stage shouting at people. It's just there all the time. And then finally, by making sure that we've put numbers to the Co-op advantage, we've tilted the pitch to make sure that your average 26-year-old media planner, of which there may be many in this room right now, will find it naturally easy to spend with Co-op rather than anyone else. So I find this is a really, really impactful use of attention data.
Yeah.
And Kenyatte, I've talked for long enough now, but I wanted to get your what's particularly interesting, I think, about an organisation like yours is that you take convenience really seriously.
Yes. Yeah, 100%.
So this is just another form of convenience.
Yeah. Look, as a business, our key point of difference across the entirety of our group is around access. So if you go back when we were founded in 1844, we're about making high-quality, safe food accessible to people who didn't have access. We're about making sure that people could participate in the democratic process.
Yeah.
People could participate and have access to business in ways they couldn't before. What we do in every part of our business is around creating access. So the Lumen study is a great proxy for how we take the best of what is Co-op and our expertise and convenience and make that accessible to our partners in the media space.
One of the things that I think has been quite good is when you have something new and interesting, should you show how special you are, or should you go with the flow?
I think you do both. And I think what's really special about this particular piece of work and the way that Rachel, Dean, and the team have approached the relaunching of Co-op Media Network, it was done in the context of great strategic and marketing and proposition thinking. First question we asked ourselves was, what makes us unique and what makes us special? And in some cases, there were things that when you look at it on the outset, you go, I'm not sure this is a strength. But when you turn it on its head, it actually is, right? So we have smaller shops. Our shops are smaller than big box retailers. Our shopping is more frequent than big box retailers. Our baskets are smaller than big box retailers. So you might look at it and go, from a media standpoint, I'm not sure this is a strength. But when you turn it on its head, you go, more shops, more opportunities to see, smaller shops. People will walk through the entire shop and see the retail media when in a 100,000 square foot store they might not. Frequency of shop means my mindset is different. I'm more open to trying new things because the agency I have when I walk into the shop is different. So I think the team did an amazing job of thinking about this in a different way. And when they did the work with you guys, I think a lot of that evolved thinking and pivoting shows up here.
And I think what I've been particularly taken by this is some of the insight isn't just about shoppers, but is understanding about the decision makers. How do we fit in with their lives?
Correct. So look, I think this work does interestingly two things that if you are a marketeer or a practitioner of marketing or brand management, consumer thinking, you will recognize. As a media person, you will recognize relevance, and receptivity. Those are two very well understood concepts. And from a media standpoint, the Lumen study helps us to position retail and co-op media specifically as highly relevant and presented in a way that is highly receptive to the consumer who walks into the shop. The other thing this study does, for those of you who have read or been exposed to Byron Sharp, who talks about mental and physical availability, right? If I am a media planner, I might be aware of retail media, but if it's not easily accessible to me, then I won't choose it.
Yeah.
Not because I don't like it, but because people tend to choose the path of least resistance in every part of their life, fundamentally. So if, to your point, if previously we had a point of sale problem, point of sale had a point, I think it's a great way of articulating it. This helps to solve some of this because now we are not just mentally available, which we were doing a good job of before, we're now also physically available. And as a result of studies like this and the integration into the tool, which other media agencies are now using, we have the ability to show up in a way that is, in many ways, unassailable because it's comparative.
So this, I think, is evidence of almost like a... Because we understand the media planners and how busy they are, we've been able to fit in with their lives.
Yes.
Where's next, using that idea of working with rather than against?
Yes.
Where's next for the co-op retail media network?
Yeah. Look, so we've done a few things in the interim to really make sure that we have the ability to be chosen more often than not. So the first is making sure that the data supports the relevance and receptivity of our media from a retail and broader media landscape standpoint. So we have the right to be there. We have the right to be chosen. The second, to your point, is making sure that we show up and we have the opportunity to be chosen. There's another one, which is how do we ensure that we are easy to work with? People have options, right?
Yeah.
And there's lots of competitive media platforms. There are lots of people talking about how their particular media is the best, the most productive, performs the best, is the most performative. If I'm a media planner and I'm used to choosing outdoor and radio and XX, so then the question becomes, how do I easily find a way to integrate myself into that person's thinking and that person's way of planning? The team have done a brilliant job of making sure that we are easy to use and easy to work with. So, for example, where you might have other media owners who use teams of data scientists and then play that data back to clients or media agencies, the tool that we have, Co-op Compass is the name of it, it allows a planner to go in, choose fundamentally a mission, choose a category, and then deselect their brand and go. So the team did a really brilliant job of going, how do we make this turnkey for people? How do we make it incredibly simple to be chosen? Because you can show up in a way that is relevant. You can have the data that proves that you are deserving, but if you're hard to deal with, you still might not get chosen. And so that's next for us. The other thing I'll say is we're very lucky as an organization because Co-op Media Network exists in the context of an ecosystem of businesses, not just food, but also life services businesses, which include funeral care, insurance, legal services, a wholesale business. So we're looking at how do we use the asset of Co-op Media Network across the entire suite of our businesses in a way that's advantageous for both those businesses, for the brands and consumers we engage with as well.
Well, guys, thank you so much for your attention. And can we give a round of applause for Kenyatte, please? It's been a fascinating insight into how convenience thinking in shopping can be applied to every aspect of your business. I think we all have so much to learn from that. Kenyatte, thank you so much for your time. And we'll be around to answer more questions later.
Absolutely.
Thanks very much, guys.
Take care.